she has written this book based on her past many experiences. She has combined her experiences and written this book. So what I feel the nature of this book is more of a gentle, saying examples, stating some, sharing some experiences, and in a gentle manner, trying to convey that what changes can be possibly done. Right. So if you see it is made up of 11 chapters, and it gradually takes us through certain concepts, and then eventually it says how we can work on that, right? And it has some kind of a real time. They have given a lot of experiences what I've been able to scan through the book, right? So we can, I think, skip this sheet right now. Maybe we can understand it better once we actually go into the text. So I'll move on. The chapter first is rigidity to agility. Anyone wanting to read, or should I go ahead?
Please go ahead, Mr. Yeah, listening.
Yeah. So rigidity to agility. Years ago, in the Downton Abbey era, a well-regarded captain stood on the bridge of a British battleship, watching the sun set across the sea. As the story goes, the captain was about to head below for dinner without a lookout suddenly announced. When a lookout suddenly announced, "Light, sir, dead ahead 2 miles." The captain turned back toward the helm. "Is it steady or moving?" he asked, these being the days before radar. "Steady, captain." "Then signal that ship," the captain ordered gruffly. "Tell them you are on a collision course. Alter course 20 degrees. The answer from the source of the light came back moments later. "Advisable you change your course 20 degrees. The captain was insulted. Not only was his authority being challenged, but also it was being done in front of a junior seaman. "Send another message," he snarled. "We are HMS Defiant, a 35,000-ton battleship of the Dreadnought class. Change course 20 degrees. "Brilliant, sir," came the reply. "I am Seaman O'Reilly of the second class. Change your course immediately." Apoplectic and red in the face, the captain shouted, "We are the flagship of Admiral Sir William Atkinson. Wiles, change your course 20 degrees. There was a moment of silence before Seaman O'Reilly replied, "We are a lighthouse, sir." So here ends this narrative. As we travel through our lives, we humans have few ways of knowing which course to take or what lies ahead. We don't have lighthouses to keep us away from rocky relationships. We don't have lookouts on the bow or radar on the tower, watching for submerged threats that could sink our career plans. Instead, we have our emotions, sensations like fear, anxiety, joy, and exhilaration, a neurochemical system that evolved to help us navigate life's complex currents. Emotions from blinding rage to wide eyed love are the body's immediate physical responses to important signals from the outside world. When our senses pick up information, signs of danger, hints of romantic interest, cues that we are being accepted or excluded by our peers, we physically adjust to these incoming messages. Our hearts beat faster or slower, our muscles tighten or relax. Our mental focus locks onto the threat or eases into the warmth of trusted companionship. These physical embodied responses keep our inner state and our outward behavior in sync with the situation at hand and can help us not only survive but also flourish. As we, Seaman O'Reilly Lighthouse, our natural guidance system, as with Seaman O'Reilly's Lighthouse, our natural guidance system, which developed through evolutionary trial and error over millions of years, is a great deal more useful when we don't try to fight it. But that's not always easy to do because our emotions are not always reliable. In some situations, they help us cut through pretenses and posturing, working as a kind of internal radar to give us the most accurate and insightful read into what's really going on in a situation. Who hasn't experienced those gut feelings that tell us this guy's lying or something's bugging my friend even though says she's fine? But in other situations, emotions dredge up old business, confusing our perception of what's happening in the moment with painful past experiences. These powerful sensations can take over completely, clouding our judgment and steering us right onto the rocks. In these cases, you might lose it and say, throw a drink in the lying guy's face. Of course, most adults rarely surrender control to their emotions with inappropriate public displays that take years to live down. More likely, you will trip yourself up in a less theatrical way but more insidious, insidious fashion. Many people, much of the time, operate on emotional autopilot, reacting to situations without true awareness or even real volition. Others are accurately aware that they expend too much energy trying to contain or suppress their emotions, treating them at best like unruly children and at worst as threats to their well being. Still, others feel their emotions are stopping them from achieving the kind of life they want, especially when it comes to those feelings that we find troublesome, such as anger, shame, and anxiety. In time, our responses to signals from the real world can become increasingly faint and unnatural, leading us, of course, instead of protecting our best interests. I'm a psychologist and an executive coach who has studied emotions and how we interact with them for more than 2 decades. When I ask some of my clients how long they have been trying to get in touch with, fix, or cope with their particularly challenging emotions or the situations that give rise to them, they will often say 5 or 10 or even 20 years. Sometimes the answer is ever since I was a kid. To which the obvious response is, so would you say that what you are doing is working? With this book, my goal is to help you become more aware of your emotions, learn to accept and make peace with them, and then flourish by increasing your emotional agility. The tools and techniques I have brought together won't make you a perfect person who never says the wrong thing or never gets whacked by feelings of shame, guilt, anger, anxiety, or insecurity. Striving to be perfect or always perfectly happy will only set you up for frustration and failure. Instead, I hope to help you come to terms with even your most difficult emotions, enhance your ability to enjoy your relationship, achieve your goals, and live your life to the fullest. But that's just the emotional part of emotional agility. The agility part addresses your thinking and behavior processes as well, those habits of mind and body that can also prevent you from flourishing. Especially when, like the captain of the battleship Defiant, you react in the same old, obstinate way to new or different situations. Rigid reactions may come from buying into the old self defeating story you have told yourself a million times. I am such a loser, or I always say the wrong thing, or I always fold when it's time to fight for what I deserve. Rigidity may come from the perfectly normal habit of taking mental shortcuts and accepting presumptions and rules of thumb that may have served you once in childhood, in a first marriage, at an earlier point in your career, but aren't serving you now. People can't be trusted. I'm going to get hurt. A growing body of research shows that emotional rigidity, getting hooked by thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that don't serve us, is associated with a range of psychological ills, including depression and anxiety. Meanwhile, emotional agility, being flexible with your thoughts and feelings so that you can respond optimally to everyday situation, is key to well-being and success. And yet, emotional agility is not about controlling your thoughts or forcing yourself into thinking more positively, because research also shows that trying to get people to change their thoughts from, say, the negative, I'm going to screw up this presentation, to the positive, you will see, I will ace it, usually doesn't work and can actually be counterproductive. Emotional agility is about loosening up, calming down, and living with more intention. It's about choosing how you will respond to your emotional warning system. It, suppose, it supports the approach described by Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived Nazi death camp and went on to write Man's Search for Meaning, on leading a more meaningful life, a life in which our human potential can be fulfilled. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, he wrote. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. By opening up that space between how you feel and what you do about those feelings, emotional agility has been shown to help people with any number of troubles: negative self image, heartbreak, pain, anxiety, depression, procrastination, tough transitions, etc. But emotional agility isn't beneficial just for people struggling with personal difficulties. It also draws a diverse disciplines in psychology that explore the characteristics of successful, thriving people, including those like Frankl, who survived great hardship and went on to do great things. Emotionally agile people are dynamic. They demonstrate flexibility in dealing with our fast changing, complex world. They are able to tolerate high levels of stress and to endure setbacks while remaining engaged, open, and receptive. They understand that life isn't always easy, but they continue to act accordingly to their most cherished values and pursue their big long term goals. They still experience feelings of anger, sadness, and so on. Who doesn't? But they face these with curiosity, self compassion, and acceptance. And rather than letting these feelings derail them, emotionally agile people effectively turn themselves, warts and all, toward their loftiest ambitions. My interest in emotional agility and this kind of resilience began in apartheid era South Africa, where I grew up. When I was a child during this violent period of forced segregation, most South Africans had a better chance of being raped than of learning how to read. Government forces removed people from their homes and tortured them. Police shot citizens who were simply walking to church. Black and white children were kept separate across all domains of society: schools, restaurants, restrooms, movie theaters. And even though I am white and therefore didn't suffer in the deeply personal ways that black South Africans did, my friends and I were not immune to the social violence around us. A friend was gang raped, my uncle was murdered. As a result, I became deeply interested at a young age in understanding how people deal or don't deal with the chaos and cruelty going on around them. Then, when I was 16, my father, who was just 42 at the time, was diagnosed with terminal cancer and told that he had only months to live. The experience was traumatic and isolating for me. I didn't have many adults to confide in, and none of my peers had gone through anything similar. Thankfully, I had a very caring English teacher who encouraged her students to keep journals. We could write about anything we wanted, but we had to hand in our journals each afternoon so she could respond. At some point, I began journaling about my father's illness and ultimately his death. My teacher wrote sincere reflections on my entries and asked questions about how I feel, how I was feeling. The journaling became a main source of support for me, and I soon recognized that it was helping me to describe, make sense of, and process my experiences. It didn't make me grieve any less, but it allowed me to move through the trauma. It also showed me the power of facing into rather than trying to avoid difficult emotions, and it put me on the career path I have followed ever since. Fortunately, apartheid is a thing of the past in South Africa, and while modern life is hardly free of grief and horror, most of you reading this book live without the threat of institutionalized violence and oppression. And yet, even in the relative peace and prosperity of the United States, where I have resided for most of more than a decade, so many people still struggle to cope and live their best lives. Just about everyone I know is stressed out and overloaded with the demands of career, family, health, finances, and slew of other personal pressures, along with large societal forces such as an unsettled economy, rapid cultural change, and a never ending onslaught of disruptive technologies that distract us at every turn. Meanwhile, multitasking, today's go to response to being overworked and overwhelmed, brings us no relief. One recent study found the effect of multitasking of people's performance was actually comparable to drinking drive, driving drunk. Other studies show that low grade daily stress from the lunchbox that needs to be filled at the last minute, the cell phone battery that dies right as you need to get on a critical conference call, the train that's always running late, the looming pile of bills can prematurely age brain cells by as much as a decade. Would anybody like to read next?
I can read. Anyone else wants to read can put the names also, like if you want to. Shall I start from here?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know if you're aware of it, Maniselvi. We normally follow the structure these days about reading for around 40 minutes and discussing for 20 minutes. So you can stick to whatever suits you, but just letting you know.
yeah, okay,
So, yeah, so that the discussion is lesser than the reading, and also we get enough time for both
right.
to cover the book in a reasonable period. Yeah. Saurabh, you want to read? Then I can skip or I can go after you.
Or I can go after you. Either way.
Okay, okay, let me read then. Yeah. Okay. My clients tell me all the time that the demands of modern life make them feel caught, hooked, and flipping like fish on a line. They want to do something bigger with their lives, like explore the world, get married, finish a project, succeed at work, start a business, get healthy, and develop strong relationships with the children and other family members. But their day to day actions don't move them anywhere closer to, and in fact, are often completely misaligned with these desires. Even as they struggle to find and embrace what's right for themselves, they are trapped not only by their actual circumstances, but also by their own self defeating thoughts and behaviors. Moreover, my clients who are parents worry incessantly about how this stress and overload affects their children. If there was ever a time to become more emotionally agile, it is now, when the ground is constantly shifting under us. We need to be nimble to keep from falling on our faces. Rigid or agile? There is something. Yeah. Can you scroll up? What is this? Acha, okay. I thought the AI something came up. Okay. Rigid or agile? When I was 5 years old, I decided to run away from home. I was upset with my parents for some reason. I can't remember why, but I do remember thinking that running away was the only reasonable thing to do. I carefully packed a small bag, took a jar of peanut butter and some bread from the pantry, put on my prized red and white ladybug clogs, and set off in search of freedom. We lived in near a busy road in Johnsburg, and my parents had long drummed into me that I was never under any circumstances to cross the street by myself. As I approached the corner, I realized that continuing forward into the big wide world was not an option. Crossing the street was an absolute, unquestionable no no. So I did what any obedient 5 year old runaway would, who was not allowed to step into the street, would do. I walked around the block again and again and again. When I finally made it home after my oh so dramatic breakaway adventure, I had been circling the same block, walking past my own front gate for hours. We all do this in one way or another. We walk or run around the blocks of our lives over and over, obeying rules that are written, implied, or simply imagined, getting hooked by ways of being and doing that don't serve us. I often say that we act like wind up toys, repeatedly bumping into the same walls, never realizing there may be an open door just to our left or our right. Uh, Even when we acknowledge that we are hooked and could use some help, the people we turn to, family, friends, kindly bosses, therapists, aren't always helpful. They have their own issues, limitations, and preoccupations. Meanwhile, our consumer culture promotes the idea that we can control and fix most of the things bothering us, and that we should toss or replace the things we can't. Unhappy in a relationship? Find another. Not productive enough? There's an app for that. When we don't like what's going on in our inner world, we apply the same mindset. We go shopping, we get a new therapist, we resolve to fix our own unhappiness and dissatisfaction and simply think positive. Unfortunately, none of this works very well. Trying to correct troubling thoughts and feelings lead us to obsess unproductively on them. Trying to smother them can lead to a range of ills from busy work to any number of self soothing addictions. And trying to change them from negative to positive is an almost surefire way to feel worse. I Many people turn to self help books or courses to deal with their emotions, but a lot of these programs get self help completely wrong. Those that tout positive thinking are particularly off base. Trying to impose happy thoughts is extremely difficult, if not impossible, because few people can just turn off negative thoughts and replace them with more pleasant ones. Also, this advice fails to consider an essential truth: your so called negative emotions are often actually working in your favor. In fact, negativity is normal. This is a fundamental fact. We are wired or feel negative at times. It's simply a part of the human condition. Too much stress or being positive is just one more way our culture figuratively over medicates the normal fluctuations of our emotions. Just the way society often literally over medicates rambunctious, rambunctious rambunctious children and women with mood swings. I don't know this word, by the way. If anyone knows, just type or do something. Over the past 20 years of consulting, coaching, and research, I have tested and refined the principles of emotional agility to help numerous clients achieve big things in their lives. These clients have included, okay, yeah, I'll just read it out later. Over the past 20 years of consulting, coaching, and research, I have tested and refined the principles of emotional agility to help numerous clients achieve big things in their lives. These clients have included mothers feeling trapped in corners, struggling to keep things together while juggling family and work, United Nations ambassadors battling to bring immunization to children in hostile countries, leaders of complex multinational corporations, and people who simply feel that life has more to offer, nor Not long ago, I published some of my findings from this work in an article that appeared in Harvard Business Review. In it, I described how where is- I missed it. Is it from the first line? Almost every one of my clients, not to mention I myself, tend to get hooked by rigid negative patterns. I then laid out a model for developing greater emotional agility to unhook from these patterns and make successful, lasting changes. The article stayed on the magazine's most popular list for months and within a short time was downloaded by nearly a quarter of a million people, the same number as HBR's total print circulation. It was heralded by HBR as a management idea of the year and was picked up by numerous publications, including the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and Fast Company. Editors described emotional agility as the next emotional intelligence, a big idea that changes the way our society thinks about emotions. I bring this up not to toot my own horn, but because the reaction to this article made me realize the idea had struck a nerve. Millions of people, it seems, are searching for a better path. This book contains a greatly expanded and amplified version of the research and advice I offered in the HBR article. But before we get into the nitty gritty, let me give you a survey of the big picture so that you can see where we are going. Emotional agility is a process that allows you to be in the moment, changing or maintaining your behaviors to live in ways that align with your intentions and values. The process isn't about ignoring difficult emotions and thoughts. It's about holding those emotions and thoughts loosely, facing them courageously and compassionately, and then moving past them to make big things happen in your life. Wow, this is beautiful. I'll just reread this paragraph. Emotional agility is a process that allows you to be in the moment, changing or maintaining your behaviors to live in ways that align with your intentions and values. The process isn't about ignoring difficult emotions and thoughts. It's about holding those emotions and thoughts loosely, facing them courageously and compassionately, and then moving past them to make big things happen in your life. The process of gaining emotional agility unfolds in four essential moments. Okay, yeah. Saurabh, you want to take up from here? I think it's a
Sure.
new yeah, topic. Yeah, go on.
Showing up. Woody Allen once said that 80% of success is simply showing up. In the context of this book, showing up means spacing into your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors willingly, with curiosity and kindness. Some of these thoughts and emotions are valid and appropriate to the moment. Others are old bits stuck in your psyche, like the Beyonce song you have been trying to get out of your head for weeks. In either case, whether they are accurate reflections of reality or harmful distortions, these thoughts and emotions are a part of who we are, and we can learn to work with them and move on. Stepping out. The next element after facing into your thought and emotion is detaching from and observing them to see them for what they are, just thoughts, just emotions. By doing this, we create Frankel's open, non judgmental space between our feelings and how we respond to them. We can also identify difficult feelings as we are experiencing them and find more appropriate ways of reacting. Detached observation keeps our transient mental experiences from controlling us. The broader view we gain by stepping out means learning to see yourself as a chessboard filled with possibilities, rather than any one piece of the board confined to certain preordained moves. Walking your why. After you have uncluttered and calmed your mental processes, and then created the space we need between the thoughts and the thinker, you can begin to focus more on what we are really all about, our core values, our most important goals. Recognizing, accepting, and then distancing ourselves from the scary or painful or disruptive emotional stuff gives us the ability to engage more of the take the long view part of us, which integrates thinking and feeling with long term values and aspirations and can help us find new and better ways of getting there. You make thousands of decisions every day. Should you go to the gym after work or skip in favor of a happy hour? Should you take the call from the friend who hurt your feelings or send him to a voicemail? I call these small decisions moments, choice points, your core values. Can you please scroll? Your core values provide the compass that keeps you moving in the right direction. Moving on, the tiny tweaks principle. The traditional tiny self help tends to see change in terms of lofty goals and total transformation. But research actually supports the opposite view that small, deliberate tweaks infused with your values can make a huge difference in your life. This is especially true when we tweak the routine and, and habitual parts of life, which through daily repetition then afford tremendous leverage for change. The teeter totter principle. A world class gymnast makes difficult moves that look effortless through her agility and the well developed muscles of her torso, her core. When, it, when something throws her off balance, her core keeps her correct. But to compete at the highest level, she has to keep pushing beyond her comfort zone to attempt increasingly difficult moves. We too need to find the perfect balance between challenge and competence. So we are neither complacent nor overwhelmed when we are instead excited, enthusiastic, and invigorated by the challenges. The businesswoman Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx Shapewear, and at one time the world's youngest self made female billionaire, describes how at the dinner table each evening her father would say, "So tell me how you feel today." The question wasn't designed to demoralize her. Instead, her father meant to encourage his children to push the limits. It was okay, even admirable, to stumble when trying something new and difficult. The ultimate goal of emotional agility is to keep a sense of challenge and growth alive and well throughout your life. I hope this book serves as a roadmap for real behavioral change, a new way of acting that will help you live the life you want and help you to reincorporate your most troubling feelings as a source of energy, creativity, and insight. Let's get started. So maybe we can stop here instead of getting
Yeah, we
started.
can stop here. Thank you, everyone. Uh, Basically, we have completed chapter 1 today. So, anything that stood out, anything that resonated, if anyone wanted to share on this?
Yes. So yeah, I can just share my perspective. So I personally loved it. So like even like what I recently learned and I have been aware of, it is more about we normally are very afraid of failures, right? And sometimes what I have also understood, it's not just fear of failure, it's also fear of success at times. And so always the better approach is failing forward. So it's basically like two steps forward and one step backward kind of a thing. So I could resonate what we read today with that, and also about that toxic positivity which we have like we which we recently hear about, right? Like too much of motivation, too much of positivity always doesn't really help, because somewhere when we try to be over positive about everything, we are trying to suppress our actual authentic feelings about things, or maybe just ignore them. And that's not the real way, because then they surface in the kind of like how the soda bottle, the bubbles just come up when it's just suppressed. So sometimes that's something like that happens when we have some reactions or something that triggers us. So I'm really liking this book, and the way it has started, it's interesting. Like I'm loving it, Manisali. Thank you for taking this up. So I personally connected very much with the book, and yes, looking forward to it. So yeah, anyone else wants to add, share, please do. Yes, why? No one is speaking? Yeah, Milinj.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for others to speak. There are 8 counts. Saurabh, Rupali, Vandana ji.
Yeah, anything is
Yeah.
okay. Like there is no right and wrong here. Like we're just open for discussion, and uh, I feel like everyone's perspective and share does make a lot of difference because it adds some or the other value to for the listeners who are there. We connect with it, right? And there is always a reason why we are in a room sometimes, so it makes a lot of difference. So please do add whatever you feel like. Any one point, any one takeaway, whenever you join, since whenever you join, no problem. Yeah, Saurabh.
Yeah, I joined a bit late, but for the part I was there. The book looks very therapeutic in nature and reminds me of another book I really like in this space by School of Life. It's called A Therapeutic Journey, and it's very similar in the way it tries to give us a framework to handle our emotions and create this kind of emotional agility. That is what I could connect from this chapter on. Hope I was audible.
Yes, yes, obviously, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
It's obvious. Yeah,
loved your
we can hear
like
you.
also share about the other book. So whoever wants to go deep would maybe want to read that or just go through it whenever you can.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Saurabh, thanks for sharing. As Mansi mentioned, I want everyone to speak at least one line because last time I remember when Mansi said about it is around organizing things, and she shared just one line that find a room for each and everything. So I started boxing all my things, and decluttering. So you say something which actually resonate with you. You get some ideas from whatever you people speak. So always do share, even if it is one line takeaway. Yeah, it's really helps me a lot. That's why I'm requesting you all to listen to the book, what's reading, what's happening, and definitely I share from my end. In today's topic, this one is very very close to me. The reason is yes, I think I'm the most critical in my whole life, for my work and all that kind of perfectionism. Okay. Initially, engineering days I used to love it, but in career wise, in career this thing, yes, it has a great emotional toll. But I love this type of books where like authors who are actually in that practices. There are other authors like Joe Vitale, and there are people in a motivational zone. Those are more on the they also write on this one, but those are more on a marketing side of it. Those books, if you read, means that is what my experience. But this kind of author, so thanks Manasilvi for suggesting this book. My experience is exactly means I'm talking about from my experience. Yes, there is a lot we discuss. We read a lot about positivity, which again we say the false positivity. Yes, when you say affirmations, you feel positive inside. But thoughts, like many times we read, like thoughts create the emotions and all that. It is so monotonous statements nowadays. Like thoughts come as emotions, emotions create behavior and all that. But in actual real practices, in actual real life, when I was in a company in which the whole environment of that office is very toxic. There is so much politics and the boss, colleagues and all that. And when I enter into that particular building, I worked there for 6 months. There was huge politics, and every day entering to that building and spending that one day is kind of hell a lot journey for me. But at that time I actually came across, again, as Mansi said, I'm suggesting two methods which is very related to this one, and I love those practices, which those practices really helped me to come out of the situation. Because it is not the thinking which is going at in your mind at that moment, because the boss is like that, your colleagues are like that, there is so much negative at that time. Your positive thinking, just positive thing doesn't help, because there is a huge emotional turmoil going in your mind. Okay, now how to control that? And definitely this book will address that. At that time I received these two techniques actually. One is Sedona technique and another is release technique. Yeah, so those Lister Levinson, yeah, so he's awesome in that, this thing. So I came across those techniques. Sedona and release techniques, both these two are the um they are the student of Lester Levinson. But yeah, that when I started following them, their blogs, their article, their videos and all that, I slowly started understanding the role of emotions in our life. Okay, because normally we just say that okay, thoughts creates the emotion, I just need to be positive. No, it doesn't work in that way. Emotion has a huge charge around it, a huge energy around it. That is one area. And second, I think Manasali, we discuss a little bit around it. Just a suggestion again, which I follow, Tara Bash and Jack Confield. Tara Bash, she's a brilliant. Both these are the meditators, and their content, their podcast, their meditations really helps you to understand the emotions. Especially Tara Bash. Okay, her podcast and everything is awesome. So though that actually these two guys actually help me to understand my emotional world. And my suggestion to all of you, please follow this authors or this thing. And yeah, it's good that we selected this particular book, because yeah, emotion has that energy. So if you definitely we'll speak more and more as we go in depth into this book. But today I'm just sharing my experience. Yes, I at that time I was actually came out of that situation just because of following these methods and this thing. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for giving me time to speak. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Milan, Saurabh, Mansi. So, anyone else, or there is one question that I would like to put forth? Hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
Maniselvi. Yeah,
yes.
you're very well
Yeah.
audible, and yes,
So,
you can go ahead with the question.
yeah. So, anybody can tell me what are emotions?
Okay, I'll go.
Emotions I heard is energy in motion. Yes, I'm not sure.
Okay, Vandana. No, there is no correct or wrong answer as far as we are not judging anyone. So please go ahead and speak openly. It's only for us to deepen our understanding, share whatever we have tried to understand, and build upon it. Yeah. So yeah, Vandana. Thanks for that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go next, Manaselvi. For me, yes, definition very clear. Miss quick definition is energy in motion. But for me, positive or negative, both emotions is definitely you feel in your body. It is pain or it is a love. Yeah, there is a kind of, you sense that in your body, the type of emotion which is going, you are in that particular moment. Yeah, so for me it is your bodily response to that particular thought or situation, which is captured by your senses, which is happening all around you every time wherever you are. So that is emotions for me.
Okay, thank you, Milinji. Anyone else?
Could I go
Oh,
next?
yeah, please.
Yeah. For me too, it is feelings uh, which we have, uh, which we have in our mind, which we
Okay,
want to express,
okay,
which we feel for someone, or which we feel for ourselves.
okay, fine. Anyone else? Right. So what I tried to do when I attended one of the sessions on, relating more on self-help, emotions were involved. I could not define emotions per se. Neither could I understand the way one should be looking at it. So I made an attempt then to understand this a bit more, and I have just put together a few points what I had summarized earlier. in respect to this book as well. So I will want to share this. Maybe this will take some 10 minutes or so. If people are able to make themselves available, please continue. Or even if they miss, it's I will try to finish as much as possible. Yeah. So I hope you all are able to see the document on the screen. So for as far as emotions is concerned, whatever Vandana ji, Milind ji, or even Dr. I'm sorry, I could not get your name.
Hinduzam.
Hindizam. Dr. Hindizam, thanks for your open suggestions or sharing your ideas. So basically, what normally people understand about emotions, it's somewhere mixed with feelings. It's somewhere mixed with our behaviors in result of those emotions. Okay, so I could myself not paste a clear cut definition to it. So what I try to do is read through some kind of definitions which work well on emotions. There are wide uh, definitions that are available, but I picked this because this made a bit of sense to me, and this seems to be addressing whatever we are trying to understand in this book. Okay, so as I said, this is trying to put everybody on the same page. Yes, emotion may be an abstract way of looking at things, but we are trying to put somewhere a middle ground so that we all can relate and discuss this in relation to the book. Try to see how we can create a awareness in our life based on this philosophy. And if this kind of a definition doesn't work, you might improvise gradually. But just to get a common ground, I have tried to summarize this. Yeah. So according to Dawn and Sandra Hockenberry in Discovering Psychology, emotions are complex psychological states that involve first subjective experience, how we feel inside; physiological response, example, heart rate, sweating; and behavioral or expressive response, that is facial expression, tone of voice, action that we take, everything is combined in this. Right? Now, if we have to break it down, the physiological response is the first thing that gets, that's the second stage. So there is a trigger, the immediate, that is a stimulus you can call, or a trigger. The reaction or the response, the immediate reaction is the emotion, that is the physiological response. Right? It is automatic in the body. Right? It is more subconscious because we don't actually think much. We are not conscious of it. It's an automatic response that comes to our body. Example would be rapid heartbeat, tightness in the chest. Right? Next comes the feeling. Now, feeling is still at a conscious level where the conscious mind makes sense of the emotion that is being automatically generated. It's a mental label or interpretation that is there for the feeling in the body that we have. So I might understand rapid heartbeat and tightness in my chest as I'm feeling anxious. Right? So I label it as I feel anxious. This I feel anxious is basically the feeling. This need not be expressed in words as such that I'm saying I'm feeling anxious, but it can be a mental note, a subconscious, or a rather the conscious way of making sense of the experience that we have at a subconscious level. That is the emotion. So some authors I have seen use this mixedly, like emotion and feeling, they combine into two. But what Susan is trying to do here is she's trying to break it into emotion, feeling, and behavior for us to understand what precedes what is the first, which triggers the next, and so forth. Right? Third is the behavior. Now I've understood that there is a tightness in my chest. I feel anxious. So what do I do? Maybe I'm not feeling well, so I cancel my meeting, which I have having next. Yeah. So that's the behavior. That is the outcome of me making sense of the emotion and the feeling, and finally making a decision. Right? Now, understanding the modifiability is very, very important for me, is because I thought emotions can be controlled, can be suppressed, can be actually it should be it can be changed easily, but it's very hard to change, and rather hard to change directly, because emotions, as I've told, It's an automatic body response at a subconscious level. Feelings, yes, but there has to be a level of awareness for us to understand that I'm interpreting this bodily movement to this feeling, right? And only when I have an understanding I will be able to validate my understanding whether it is in the right direction or how do I interpret it in better manner. So this can be reframed. We can look at it from a different perspective. Then comes the behavior. This behavior need not be just as a knee-jerk reaction to the emotion and feeling. We can again take a pause and decide how to behave. So there can be a pause, and this behavior can be redirected. This emotional and feeling related energy that gets generated can be redirected to something else which is better. Right? Everybody with me on so far? Any doubts? Any questions?
No, no,
Yeah,
no. I'm
absolutely.
getting it.
Yeah, getting it. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm just going through some examples just to put ourselves a bit comfortably in these terms.
Yeah,
To a
please.
professional team leader, he missed a deadline. Now, what is the emotion that is coming out for him is anger. Feeling he's saying, I feel disrespected and let down. This is what he is making sense of the anger. Now, behavior, what does this feeling result to? He starts, since he's angry with the team of not meeting the deadline, he feels himself let down. So, what he's trying to do, he'll micromanage the team henceforth. And he will give feedback which will be like very biased because the anger is still there with him and he will not be able to give the right kind of feedback to them because he's holding a grudge somewhere. That
Could
I was
interrupt?
let down. Sorry?
Could I interrupt?
Yeah, please.
Anger is a mental feeling,
Okay.
but it is not a bodily emotion.
See here, what I'm trying to say is
Hmm.
anger
Hmm.
is, I'm just written a word, but the emotion will be a bodily feeling. I might start, I will feel a rush of blood in myself. I might feel that I'm sweating. So that is where I've put it as anger. So here I would have written it as anger, but what I meant here is the
Hmm.
physical feeling. Yeah, you have noticed it correct. I might have put here as a feeling of, break into a sweat,
Yeah.
or kind of a rush of
Loss of
blood,
blood. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
This I could put, yeah. But
That's
what I meant is this is actually a physical or a bodily feeling that is coming as anger, right? And
okay.
how I'm interpreting the anger or how I'm labeling it is I feel disrespected and let down,
Okay.
right? Okay.
Okay.
Can I move ahead?
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah. So
Okay.
now second example, woman balancing work and home. So the partner is not helping at the home is the trigger point. So the lady seems to be frustrated because she is constantly feeling tired and bogged down by the weighed down rather by doing a lot of things, right? So this is and emotionally drained, right? And drained because of the work that she has to do, and she feels that something if somebody helps it would have helped her, but this frustration comes into her. She's saying within herself or feeling this as I feel unsupported and invisible. So this is what is coming to her conscious mind. Because of her tiredness she feels drained inside, and due to that she's labeling it as I feel unsupported and invisible because nobody is trying to understand, her, support her. This behavior somewhere goes into overcompensating mode. Okay, nobody is helping, I'll extend myself, I do, or I go into a silent treatment because, or I don't, so that I don't have to address this conflict directly, but it is keeping on brewing in within me. So this is one other example. Now there is one student who is actually surfing through the social media. So there is automatically a comparison that is being triggered. So what he feels is a bit of envy, or rather he feels as a bit of a sadness in himself. And what he's labeling is, I feel like a failure. Um, so here the behavior will be like, he will keep on scrolling and he will procrastinate things, because he's thinking that he's not enough, or he's not able to do anything. So he's not able to put himself in a positive state of mind. So these are the certain examples which I thought I could share. This one example again is giving a bit of clarification on the thought. How does emotion, feeling, and thought differ? And this was given in one of my trainings, so I just kept it intact and I'm just stating it. The trigger is, you see a snake, your body feels the fear, that is the emotion. You notice, I feel scared, that is the feeling. Your mind thinks this snake is dangerous, that is the thought. So when thought comes, you actually apply your conscious mind to what is happening and derive a meaning out of it. So that's the meaning making part of it. You step away quickly. So the behavior is resulting that you have taken cognizance that you are not in a right place, there is a danger lurking, and you step back. Right? So stages is that, emotion, feeling, thought is there, but there can be a self talk which can extend further, which is like, you know it's a talk which goes on into our mind as we try to decipher the situation, and it might not be healthy, because you may not be looking at it at a calm and in a right way at at the heat of the moment. So when I'm say feeling anxious and the thought is that maybe I'm not prepared for giving this lecture, my self talk is, why can't I handle this stress better? That kind of a narrative works in my mind, so that can be termed as a self talk. So this is basically given as more to understand as to how we can understand the differences between emotion, feeling, thought, behavior, and self talk, and how we can be aware of it when we are actually getting into the rush of the day. So we can keep pace. Sometimes certain things will happen and we'll have to take a pause and try to understand, what is the emotion I'm looking at here, what is the feeling that has arisen, and what is the next step that I have to do as a behavior. Right? uh, so So I think if forward in this book, there has been certain specific emotions that have been labeled, but to tell you, there are a lot of different names that comes and arises if you go on searching. Some people will say eight, some people will say combination, and there is the wheel of emotion which will tell you that there are so many different kind of way of you actually looking at the emotion or naming it the feeling that you are undergoing at that moment. So it is very complex and very subjective, because it's your biology. Each person's biology and perception is different, the personal history is different, so it is very complex. So putting everything in so much words may not be right for everyone. So just to be have a common common understanding, I have put for this thing. Anybody else who has any other points to add here can add, please.
This was beautiful, Maniselvi. It was a wonderful value addition. So thank you for doing that. You'll be doing it every day? Like you'll be adding something extra?
I'm not sure, but as I see it, at least for 3 days, I have something in mind which I can add.
Okay.
Now, this is all purely
Okay.
coming on the basis that I've read so many books but not able to implement much. Books don't give their complete way of looking at how we can actually implement it. So I'm trying to bridge the gap for myself, and whatever I try to do myself, then I will share it in the group as well.
Wow, this is awesome. Thank you, thank you. That's what this is actually what we like what we're trying to do. Like when someone who's really is in love with the topic and want to do it better, we would want them to take the lead so that it adds more value to the reading that we do together. So thank you so much. Thank you for all that efforts that you're putting, and thank you for sharing it with us. And it was beautiful. It really helped me clarify a lot of things which was new learnings for me. So thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah, doctor, you want to say something? Hindi
Yeah,
sa?
and thank you, Mansalvi. Thank you so much. It's
Yeah,
clarified
thank you.
so much. It
Thank you. Thank you,
clarified the
Maniselvi.
difference between emotion, feelings, and behavior. It made a depth of difference between them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just one more thing which I just wanted to add, like I just remembered it initially also. So there is this wonderful movie called Inside Out. If you have any of you, I have mentioned it multiple times. So if anyone have not watched it, I will highly recommend you can just watch it simultaneously or maybe some point of the time, because that movie is all about emotions, and it helps us understand how emotions like get started, and a lot of fun things, and very thoughtfully narrated and illustrated. So I would really recommend everyone to please read. There are two parts to it, but you can obviously watch from the first part, and it will be very helpful into understanding what we are reading also and learning right now with this book. So yeah, very relevant, very much in alignment with what we are trying to do here. So please do the watch that also. So yeah. Yeah, Vandan, you want to say something, right?
Yeah, this movie, no, it's an anime, no? I think I have watched both the
Yes,
parts.
yes. It's an
Yeah,
animation movie, yeah, but it's
anime. Yeah,
very
yeah.
beautiful.
Yes,
And
yes, very
maybe it's
beautifully.
not just for kids, it's even for adults,
It's
it's
for
very
everyone.
helpful.
It's for everyone because we all have emotions. Yeah, irrespective of age. So yes, it's good and yes. So getting clarity in one of my this thing, what you call, in a session I heard what Mani Selvi was telling. She has given that presentation she shared. No, so heartbeat, and it was like whenever you are in a situation, you are deciding something, and you think whether it's okay for me or it's not okay. So there were check nakas given in that session. So it was like you first check your gut. It was told like heartbeat, similarly gut. So you feel some knots in your gut, means you are not comfortable. It's not for you. And and similarly they say no, chill down the spine, something like that. So vertebral column. So if you just watch yourself, so you will be in a better position to check your emotions, feelings, and then accordingly you can behave. And self-talk do play a very vital role, I feel. Self-talk, a small sentence makes a very huge difference in the outcomes we get. So thank you. That's it for today.
Wow, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I do remember learning from somewhere that about gut feeling, right? So they call it that our gut
Yes,
is our second brain of the body.
yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
yes, and I think it is because some hormones are actually released in our body through our thoughts
Yes,
and feelings and emotions, and that is how you feel that we
mm,
feel these things in our physiology also.
yes.
So yeah, somewhere it's all correlated. So yeah, very well said. So thank you for sharing that. Manisali, you never really like stop surprising us with something awesome additions from your end, and today you just took it to the totally next level.
Next
So
level.
thank you for that. Yeah. So you have raised the bar for everyone here, in fact. So thank
No,
you for
actually,
that.
this is more from how do I implement. Let me go to the basic questions here. So that is the whole
Yes, yes.
idea. I actually put for this question because when I attended one of the sessions, it was not about emotions, but it was a general discussion. I realized so much less I know about it. I need to really understand this. So that is the reason I thought, how I could ask others how they are interpreting and see whether we can have a common page to start this with.
Yeah, that was beautiful. In fact, when we bifurcate something in such simplified form, like we just even trying to divide. Like I think going forward, I would be more mindful about my emotions, and when I feel something, I might be just because of this session, because of what you shared with us today. I might just go into like analyzing into what are my feelings, how am I feeling in my body, what is my behavior, I would be more aware and mindful about it. So this really helps, in fact. And I would say that just bifurcating this as an exercise itself is such a profound thing, right? Like if we just try and understand ourselves, we will definitely start understanding ourselves and others so much better. So yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. We can meet same time tomorrow, 2:30. Yeah. So we can end
Yes.
today. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
all.
Bye-bye.
Stay blessed. Bye.
Bye. See you all.